about a comeback win for the Detroit Tigers to earn a split over the weekend with the Minnesota Twins. And for 8 innings, it was more of the same. This offense was nowhere to be found, but a 4 spot in the bottom of the 8th for the Tigers to earn the 4-3 win. We break it all next on this live edition of the Locked On Tigers postcast. Come along. We've got a lot to talk about.
You are Locked On Tigers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Detroit on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And away we go. Welcome one, welcome all. If you're watching on YouTube live or if you're just listening to the audio version, this is me crinkling up every single note that I took. Every single note that I took, completely gone, throw it away, because for 8 innings, it was more of the same, and this Tigers offense was nowhere to be found. And again, it was a minor league baseball level offense. I was holding my eyelids to stay awake. And truth be told, I mean, we all know what Sunday today is. It's Sunday at Augusta. So obviously I was glancing over at the secondary monitor with the Masters, and I was tuned in and listening as closely and intently as I could. And I just kept thinking, how do I say the same exact thing I said yesterday about how terrible this offense is and point to some different areas? And then lightning struck, and yes, the 8th inning happened, and I can't wait to break that all down. But before we go any further, how about a shout out for today's title sponsor, this Locked On Tigers postcast, made possible by eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust, kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million, let me say that again, 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible terms only, exclusions apply. eBay, guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. So the bats came alive late in the 8th inning, and thank God they did, because I had a brilliant, well, I don't want to give myself too much credit. Relax there, Riepma. I had a plan to describe this Tigers offense, or what it's like watching this Tigers offense, by asking the Twitter nation out there, and I appreciate all those that submitted what watching this Tigers offense is like on a Sunday afternoon. And we're going to just push that back to the very back portion of the program, because there were some good submissions. I do want to get to some of them, but it wouldn't be fair to start the show with that. So we're still going to have some fun. And that's my plan for a lot of these Locked On Tigers postcasts, to have some fun, because there's 162 games. So we've got time. We've got the opportunity to have some fun. Audience interaction, always encouraged. Appreciate everybody tuning in on the YouTube stream as we speak for this live edition. But let's go to that 8th inning, because again, I had to crinkle up and throw away every single note I took leading up to the 8th inning, because it all changed. And this is going to taste like vinegar coming out of my mouth, because if you've listened to a couple of the shows so far, you know, Javy Baez just isn't my guy, and I'm sorry. And I know I'm not the only one that feels that way following this Detroit team. And, you know, if we try to separate that fan versus a objective viewer and just looking at the number, any way you slice it, Javy Baez is just one of the worst big league baseball players out there. But he came through today, and I got to give him his flowers. I got to give him credit, because let's go to that 8th inning where the Tigers were lifeless. They're down 3-0. And once again, it looked like they ran into another Cy Young pitcher, which we obviously know that is not the case. But Bailey Ober pitched really, really well for the Twins. And again, stop me if you've heard that one before. But the Tigers down 3-0. 8th inning, let's take a look at that play-by-play, because again, I'm watching this and I'm just thinking to myself, this is going to be a challenging show, and it's going to sound like me complaining and hating this Tigers team and blaming the front office that they didn't make more moves to go out and get an offense. But we've seen this almost now in each of the first few series of the season, where one game of the series, the offense is nowhere to be found, and then they just flip a switch late. And we all know how the game of baseball works. You don't flip a switch, and it's just the way this pattern has played out here organically in the first couple of series. But you saw it in Pittsburgh, you saw it in New York against the Mets, and then obviously in the opening series against the White Sox. But you go back to that 8th inning, and with the bases empty and 1 out, you got Javy Baez up to bat, and he clears the wall in left for his, not just his first home run of the season, but first extra base hit of the season. That's right. It was the first extra base hit of the season for Javy Baez. So the criticism that I give him is obviously well-deserved, but also tip of the cap, because that was the spark that this Tigers offense needed. And it was some sort of a semblance of life injected into the veins of the ensuing batters, because from then on, if you watch the game, you know exactly what happened. You're looking at, and also this is where baseball nerd Jake Riepma is going to put his hats on and really be a little bit maybe negative, maybe not. But the following batter, you've got the Carson Kelly. They call it an infield single to the shortstop. We all know it was an error. Major League Baseball player needs to make that play. And then you got the single from Greene. I like the best aggressive base runner from Kelly to get to third. Runners at the corners with Mark Canha. And you look at the box score, it's going to tell you a 2-run double, which, I mean, you hear it in my voice. I'm trying not to be negative guy, baseball nerd, the loser after a 4-3 come from behind win. But it was another favorable scoring decision that allowed Mark Canha then to get the 2 RBI double, because I really felt like it was an error. But it doesn't matter. Game is tied. Comerica Park is going crazy, or at least who's ever there, which, by the way, it looked like an absolutely beautiful day at Comerica Park on Sunday kids' day games. I don't know why you wouldn't be there. But then the next at bat is what I want to highlight, because, and maybe you can help me out with this as well, because it was Spencer Torkerlson. We all know how much he's been struggling. He did have a double earlier in the game, but this was a big at bat for Spencer Torkerlson. And I think you have a positive side, or a positive spin, if you will, or maybe if you're a little bit more skeptical of Spencer Torkerlson, and I'm not going to say I'm either one, but you could look at this at bat. You've got the Twins infield drawn in, runner at third, less than 2 outs. Everybody that's ever played baseball knows you got to get the ball into the outfield, find something you can drive for some kind of sacrifice fly, or somehow find a way to get that runner home. That's just what you have to do. And to Spencer Torkelson's credit, and the broadcast was very, very kind to him on this, but recognizing that the infield was in and so much outfield grass, I believe Benetti said exactly that. Look at the green out there for Spencer Torkerlson. And he puts a bloop job into right field for an RBI single and the go-ahead run. And that's what we've been waiting for from Spencer Torkerlson, delivering in big moments. And again, it wasn't pretty. How many times do I say it? You don't have to draw a picture on the scorecard. So if you want to give him the benefit of the doubt that, yeah, he recognized the infield was in. Yeah, absolutely. He knew exactly what he was doing. Or if you're maybe a little bit more pessimistic, you might say, wow, the guy got lucky the infield was in and that little bloop job found some grass, a little lawn dart out there in right center field for the go-ahead run. But all the momentum, and I think the crowd at Comerica Park needed that. And I don't think there were boos coming out yet. Maybe someone that was at Comerica Park can let me know if there were, in fact, boos coming out. But with the way yesterday's doubleheader played out, especially that second game, where you just have a lifeless offense, then you have a lifeless offense for 7 innings, you could feel the tension, the frustration building, and guys at bats. And Carlos Pena even talked about this, which, by the way, he's going to be awesome in the booth. But Carlos Pena talked about that with Benetti and Dan Petrie. I believe I made note of it. It was in the middle of the game, whatever it was. Yeah, bottom of the fourth, it referring to the approach, or in what this weekend seemed like lack thereof, by a lot of guys trying to do too much. And I think when it's one of those, when it rains, it pours, it snowballs, whatever cheesy analogy you want to use, but you just felt that type of pressure from hitters 1 through 9, where somebody was trying to be that guy. And again, as much as it pains me, I got to give credit to Javy Baez, because when this team's back was against the wall and they're facing, staring down the barrel of a shutout and 3 out of 4 to a divisional opponent who's very, very much beat up. And these are the games you got to take advantage of in early April. It was Javy Baez's solo home run that delivered what the Tigers needed and ultimately led to the 4-3 win. And that's why everybody's feeling good on this Sunday. And if you're like me, like I said yesterday, I hate losing more than I like winning. And I don't care that I had to rewrite the whole script and retake some new notes because by goodness sakes, at the end of the day, I love the fact that the Tigers showed some resiliency and put together a 4 spot in the bottom of the 8th inning. And then Jason Foley, who we're going to talk about in just a little bit, it was tremendous there, closing it out. And I know it got a little hairy, little there, but at the end of the day, he shut the door for that save. So we'll talk more about the pitching performance on this side of things. On Jack Flaherty put forth a quality start and the bullpen. But before we go any further, how about a word that's next coming up from Locked On Tigers POSTCAST? All right, today's show made possible by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. We're talking superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. So whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every single time or your money back. That's what I'm talking about, because I was ready to take the Tigers offense back and get my money back for that. But because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins like the Tigers got today, 4-3 over the Twins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Also, want to tell you about another sponsor that we have for today, and that's the Monopoly Go. Listen, you guys know I'm rather competitive. How many times have I said that? I hate losing more than I even like winning. And I have more than a competitive side. I think we all do. And my competitive side is a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. In case you haven't heard of it, you've been living under a rock. It is a great twist on Monopoly where you play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. So much money that maybe you could afford to pay a batter, that unlike the Tigers front office. But the best part is messing with your friends. You can charge them rent on iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly, but you can also rob their vaults of riches for yourself. And with that, make sure you download the Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. All right, moving on to the pitching side of things. Jack Flaherty started today and pitched around some traffic. I got to at least give him credit for battling out on the mound, showed some resiliency. And when you look at the final line, it's kind of interesting because it's almost the exact opposite of Matt Manning yesterday, in terms of Manning felt like he had a little bit more command. He had hitters off balance a little bit more, but Manning ends up giving up 4 runs in 6 2/3. Flaherty, on the other hand, turns in a quality start by the definition with 6 1/3, allowing 6 hits, 3 runs, all 3 of them earned, struck out 8 and walked 2. And I think when you talk about Jack Flaherty and what he means to this team, I almost felt for him out on the mound, because in the midst of an important game, finale of the series, you're thinking about how can we win and earn a split. Flaherty goes out and gives his team a chance to win. But stop me if you've heard this one before. The offense was so amoebic for 7 innings that it just had to be discouraging. It had to be disheartening to be up on the mound, battling your rear end off, doing everything you can to give your team a shot to win, all for what seemed like nothing. But to his credit, he never let the lead balloon. He got beat here and there. And when I look at my notes of what was impressive, I thought the fact that in the top of the third, it was almost the first 2 innings, you had a lot of traffic, give up a couple of runs, and then it was like the switch clicked in that top of the third with the 6th pitch inning. I wrote that down, highlighted it, because I think without that 6th pitch inning in the third, it could have been a totally different outing for Jack Flaherty. It's almost like at that point, it gave him the confidence to continue on and continue giving his team a chance to win. But we'll take this game in a 1-game sample size and say, yes, he gave his team a chance to win, and ultimately the bats came through in the 8th. But I think largely a bigger issue that we've seen 15 games into the season is the Tigers' offense being as bad as it is puts a starting pitcher in a position, and I've never pitched at the big league level, obviously, but mentally there just has to be this, I don't want to say, this elephant in the room or just this mental hurdle that because the offense is so bad, you got to go out and throw 7 innings of scoreless baseball. Otherwise, if you're down, today, 3-0, I'll be honest, today 3-0 felt like an insurmountable lead for the Minnesota Twins. And there was no chance. I, hand up, cannot be any more authentic with you than I just assumed this game was over. I had the the graphic made with Tigers bats go silent, they lose. I had the description all written out because I mean, in this business, you want to be ready to go live as soon as the game ends. And based on historical data, I thought, well, there's no way. And that's, again, a credit to the resiliency of the Tigers offense, but the effect and the impact that it has on the pitching staff, I got to believe the starting pitchers feel like when they take the mound, and especially in a game the way this one played out, where you've got the Twins scoring early to get up and, they take the 2-0 lead after the 2-run second inning, one more in the 4th. And four innings in, you feel like this game is over. So credit to Jack Flaherty for not giving in, to still being able to compile a quality start and get into the 7th inning with his pitching and ultimately give his team a chance to win. And I think what we saw from Jack Flaherty at times, not very encouraging. Of course not. Especially those first 2 innings, he's pitching around traffic. You don't want to see that. But the presence of mind to be able to focus and get that 3-pitch inning in the top of the 3rd and then continue giving his team a chance to win. It's not always going to be pretty, but Jack Flaherty deserves a lot of credit. Now, for the bullpen side of things, again, the 9th inning, sure, it got a little bit hairy, but this is the type of game that, and if you're sick of me saying how bad the offense is, I'm really sorry. It feels like it feeds into every point. But this is the type of the game where when the bullpen takes over, they know they have to be absolutely flawless. There is no margin for error, because if you think a 3-0 lead is insurmountable, well, let me just tell you, anything greater than that, and if the bullpen doesn't shut out the Twins from the 7th inning on, obviously we've got a completely different conversation. So credit to all the guys in the bullpen that came through and really gave this team a chance to win, because I don't think you can state enough about what yes, Jack Flaherty 6 1/3, but Will Vest 1 2/3. And then, of course, in the 9th, you've got Jason Foley to earn his 4th save of the year. So great job by this Tigers bullpen and continuing to give their team a chance to win. Jason Foley's been so good all season long, still that 0.00 ERA, despite walking 2 in that 9th inning. So I'm sounding positive. I don't want Jared Goff to get mad at me, but feeling very, very good, even though, largely for 7 innings of this game, it was more of the same. It was all of our worst fears that I think we can all confirm our reality, that this offense is not good. This offense is a liability, and it puts the pitching staff in a very, very difficult spot. So want to make sure I'm checking into all the comments. Say hello. We got Adam Colm, an old buddy of mine from Lansing Catholic High School. Shout out to Adam. Appreciate you tuning in. Hope you'll tune in all season long. We're going to continue breaking this one down. And I promised towards the end of the show, we would get to some of those listener submitted tweets about what this offense is like. We'll also talk a little bit about the front office and how that relates to, I think, the position that the Tigers are in right now. But before that, stay tuned. All right, guys, it's Locked On's NFL Mock Draft live on April 17th at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. It'll be streaming on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. You can find the ultimate 6-episode series on April 17th at 7 o'clock Eastern to hear who the local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL franchise. That includes the Detroit Lions. Matt Derry doing such a great job with Locked On. That was awesome. You had Schefter on the other day. I loved following the Locked On Lions show. But this show will have live reactions from local college football experts and even the fantasy football angle. The Locked On NFL Mock Draft on April 17th at 7 o'clock Eastern, streaming live on Locked On Sports Today 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels and app. All right, today's show is also sponsored by Yahoo Finance. Let's get straight to the point. You want to grow your portfolio and help deal with the rising costs of inflation to pay off your debt, your mortgage, whatever it is, anything standing in the way of you and your financial freedom, right? Well, with Yahoo Finance, you can get access to the news, data, and tools that you need in order to help you reach that financial freedom. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether you're a seasoned investor or you're looking for that extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data that you need in one place. You don't have to have 50 tabs open like I do right now. It's all right there on Yahoo Finance. They are the #1 finance destination, producing a holistic look at the financial news cycle, including breaking news, original editorial perspectives, analyst ratings, independent research, customizable charts, and oh so much more. Find out for yourself. For a comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com, the #1 financial destination, yahoofinance.com. That's yahoofinance.com. All right, we wrap it up with what I had planned originally was to just bash Scott Harris and everything else associated with the front office for not finding a way to make this offense more competitive. But I'm going to pump the brakes on that a little bit because I don't want to be that guy that Jared Goff was talking about that relishes in negativity. So there I am, hand up, being very, very positive. That's just the kind of guy I am. And who wouldn't be positive? It's Sunday at Augusta. The Tigers earned the series split with a dramatic come from behind, the comeback cats, the cardiac cats, whatever you want to call it. And it is a good day. But I asked for some help on the Twitter about what this Tigers offense is like, and some of the best that I want to read here for you. Alex Urban saying the definition of insanity, and my guy Mike Rizzo saying getting kicked in the groin repeatedly. Carson Parker says worse than watching the Lions cornerbacks play at the end of the season. But my favorite, got to give a shout out to my guy Spencer Raxter over there at Woodward Sports. His definition of this Tigers offense, or watching this Tigers offense, I should say, is the same as capital punishment. So there we go. Appreciate everybody participating with me on that one. Oh, one more from my guy Vito Churko. Very stressful, or you said stressful. Yes. And I had reached that point that I wasn't even stressed out. I was mad. I was annoyed, and and again, the definition of insanity. You're doing the same thing, you're looking for a different result, and the results just are not there. But all is well that ends well, and the Tigers win it 4-3. They welcome in the Rangers for a 4-game set, who defending World Series champions, and they feel pretty good about their ball club in Dallas, Texas, with the Rangers coming to town. And tomorrow's pitching matchup should be fun. We're going to see one of our old friends. How about that? It'll be Reese Olson for the Tigers, and I believe for the Rangers, it will be Michael Lorenzen. So how about that? We'll get a chance to see Michael Lorenzen at Comerica Park now that he is pitching for the Rangers and has some contacts with the Rangers. It's so funny to listen to them talk about Lorenzen, as you know, because like a lot of the teams, the Rangers are beat up with a ton of injuries, especially on the pitching staff. And they're looking at Lorenzen to be the guy that comes in and saves them, because he started the season on the injured list. And I chuckle to myself when I hear that, because I don't think he's that guy. But tomorrow will be the only night game of the 4-game set, the rest of them during the day. So make sure you join us for our post-game coverage after every single game. Keep it locked on Tigers. Keep it locked on Tigers POSTCAST. And we'll continue to keep you up to date on everything involving the Detroit Tigers. So a come from behind win for your Detroit Tigers. They're 9-6 on the season, 3-4 at home. Twins fall to 6-8 and 5-4 on the road. Winning picture for the Detroit Tigers, Will Vest. He's now 1-0 on the season. He threw an inning and 2/3, did not allow a hit or an earned run, did not strike anybody out, but did not walk anybody either. Losing pitcher for the Minnesota Twins, Griffin Jacks. He gets hit with the loss, as he was part of that 4-run 8th inning for this Detroit Tigers offense. Shout out to Javy Baez with the solo home run, and then the eventual tying 2-run double for Mark Canha, and then the RBI go-ahead single for Spencer Torkerlson, and Jason Foley finishes it off with his 4th save of the year. Now, third show, we're having a good time. We love the Detroit Tigers. We got a lot in common, and I wanted to, and we're not going to do this every single show, but instead of just being a talking head on the air for you, I'm going to throw in one fun fact at the end of the show until you feel like you know me well enough, and you're probably going to get sick of me, and I don't want to be this random guy on your screen talking Tigers. So fun fact, I studied sports broadcasting at Northwestern University in Chicago. That's right. I am a big J nerd from the Medill School of Journalism. If you follow the sports media landscape, the only people more obnoxious than Northwestern grads are Syracuse grads. We can all agree on that. And then Arizona State, when they have their Walter Cronkite School of Journalism, they yap. But the point being, graduated from Northwestern. But for everybody in the Michigan area, my undergrad, Northwood University, America's free enterprise institution in Midland, Michigan, where I played football. And my coach told me if I could play half as good as I could talk, well, then, I would have been a much better football player, much better about talking about the game than actually playing. So appreciate everybody tuning in. We're going to enjoy this ride together. The Tigers get the win 4-3 over the Minnesota Twins. Final score, and 4 runs in the 8th inning to take the win and to go to 9-6 on the season. So thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you next time as the Tigers welcome in the Texas Rangers beginning Monday night for a 4-game series. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Locked On Tigers POSTCAST.